Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Ah, that soothing music. Hey, y'all, happy Monday. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody is recovered from the stress that the holidays put us all under, where we were rushing, busy, got to get it done. Phew. the next big holiday is Valentine's Day, so keep that in mind, y'all. There's a little bit of pressure there too, but not near as much as we just went through. So hope everybody's doing all right. Before we get going on today's topic, I want to do my normal round of housekeeping. I am asked constantly if I do one-on-one training sessions or tutorials, and time simply won't permit me to do that, but I know a fella. And if you're active in the CNC community, you know a fella as well. And, that fella is Bull Shanigan. He runs a tidy ship over on Facebook. He runs a Facebook group called The Make. There's a link to it down in the description of this live stream and the past, I don't know, probably 20, 30, something like that. And the man knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for quite some time. He has been a machinist and a CNCer for, well, forever. So check him out. He's got a website as well, bullshanigan.com. There's a link to it also down in the description. He does do one-on-one training on the basics of all Vectric software. Then he also does one-on-one training for 3D modeling, and he does light burn basics. And I'm guessing he's adding a new course to his arsenal on basic CNC operations, learning how to communicate with your CNC, what things are, what they mean, how to use it, how not to use it, how to stay out of trouble, things of that nature. Check him out. He's a good guy. I'm proud to call him a friend. He knows what he's doing. I don't think you can go wrong by talking bull, as the case may be. Yeah, I know he'll love that. Next order of business is to, once again, and here's why, things like this. Once again, I got to say thank you and give a major shout out to my friend Steve over at Harneal Media. Folks, if you're thinking about uh, getting a website to kind of eliminate the middleman and maybe get rid of some of the Etsy commissions or eBay commissions or what have you, you want to put up a web store. You want to offer your goods, your services, your products to your clients and your customers. Not only that, but maybe post up a portfolio of your past work. Guaranteed to entice, guaranteed to entice potential clients to choose you over the next guy. Also, maybe you want to design some merch and get hooked up with a print on demand company that takes care of all of the billing and all the tax situation and all the inventory and everything else. He can help you hook up with that print on demand company as well. Now, I don't know how Steve does all of the things he does. The man, I think, works 26 hours a day. How, I don't know, but he does it. I'm proud to call him a friend as well. He is very competitively priced, and he's the only uh, web developer that I will ever recommend. There's a link to Harneal Media in the description of every video of my channel. As of today, all 550 videos on my channel, you'll find a link. You won't be sorry. Check him out, Steve over at Harneal Media. Okay, last week we had a question from Vortex 8 asking me about template files. What are they? How do you use them? Why would you use them? What are they good for? So I figured we would go ahead and talk about that today because it is a rather deep topic, even though it's a rather simple topic. But let's go ahead and jump into Aspire and we'll get going. Now, I chose a simple address sign simply because this is one of the easier more common type of files or designs that you would use with a template. Now, a template file is different from a regular normal file in that if set up properly, something like this, all I will need to do is come in and change the house numbers as I get another order in, recalculate toolpaths, and go. Save my G code and go. It's different from a regular CRV or CRV 3D file in that once you've created the template, you cannot edit it. Now, as we get into it, I'll show you what I mean and show you how. But first, let's get going. Now, how I created this design is less important than how the design itself actually works and how I lay out the design. I need to bring me back here because I'm talking and showing and using my hands. The design itself is less important than how the design is arranged. I'm constantly preaching the use of layers, and this is one of the reasons why, one of the many reasons why. Now, in using layers, we can come up here into the layout manager and click this drop down and everything is fine. I sometimes prefer to come over here onto my layers tab and use that. Just simply because I don't like clicking off over here and having this drop down menu disappear that I got to go back after it. It's just more convenient for me. Now, right now, cutout is my active layer, and I can tell that because it's in bold text. Now, if I turn off, for instance, my text layer, my text goes away. I've got these little corner holes here that I'm going to drill with a 1/8 inch upcut end mill, and they're on a separate layer as well. I can turn that off, turn it back on. Then I have my inner border here that I can turn off, turn back on. Then I have, again, my cutout layer right there. Each element is on its own layer, and that's important. Now, you can have more than one element on a layer, but they need to be related. For instance, I've got 4 drill holes, but they're related. So I can have those all on one layer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm ready to calculate toolpaths. And I'm going to show you a different way of calculating these toolpaths, which is going to make using templates oh so much easier. Now, we have a question from Oz down in Lower Alabama. How to update a template with a date change? Well, again, you can't update the template. But as we get into this, you'll see what's going on. Okay, a little bit further explanation before I actually get into tool pathing, and that is the text here is going to be the one element of this address sign that is most likely to change. Okay, so I want to keep this text as a text object. That way I can come back over here into my drawing tab. I've got the text selected. I can click on the text. Let my fonts load up, and I can come up here and just change the number. And that will change the number out here. So I want to keep that as a text object. I don't want to convert this to curves. Okay. And that's going to help me out big time. I can still click over here and I can adjust the text spacing, or a curve if one is applicable, what have you. But I want to keep this as a text object. That's the main point. Okay, let's go ahead and jump over and we'll start calculating some tool paths. Probably the first tool path I'm going to do is the easiest, and that is, oh, hey, thank you, Vortex 8, for becoming a channel member. I really appreciate it. You're going to find they're a great bunch of people. Bob Hillhouse just rejoined. And look on the community tab here on my YouTube channel, and you'll find a link to tomorrow night's members only live stream. We're going to design a pretty cool project. Eric Girth, I want to thank you for the $20 super chat. I really, really appreciate that. More than you'll ever know. Thank you very much. Okay, so the first toolpath I'm going to calculate is a simple drilling toolpath. So I'll come over here to the drilling toolpath, and I want to drill down the thickness of my material. This is going to be so I can mount this on the wall outside on the house. So my cut depth is going to be my material thickness. So I'll just type the letter Z and then tap the equals button on my keyboard, and that enters whatever material thickness I had here. For an end mill, I'm going to select a 1/8 inch upcut end mill. Do not, I say again, do not use a downcut end mill on a drilling tool path. Don't make the same mistake I did. I started a fire with a downcut end mill. I was brand new, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know anything about it. And suddenly there was smoke coming out of the third hole I started drilling. Everything and everybody was okay. I got it put out. Of course, then I, wasted a whole Pepsi, but what can I say? An upcut end mill is the only end mill for drilling. So we'll select that 1/8 inch upcut end mill, and I'm going to go ahead and use peck drilling, and we'll just call it drill 1. Here is the secret that makes working with templates so much easier. You'll notice I don't have any vectors selected out here. If we come down here to the vector selection section, you see it says manual. It's waiting for me to grab hold of one of these vectors out here. Well, I'm going to click on the selector, and that's going to bring me into the vector selector. What I want to select is close vectors, all close vectors, and then down here, select vectors on selected layers only. Now you look here, I have a list of the layers that I've created for this file. I want to select the vectors in the drill holes layer. Then I want to, and this is crucial, I want to associate with this tool path. Then I can close, and my vector selection has changed from manual to automatic. So now this tool path will drill, in this case, every vector that's on that layer. Every vector. So I'll calculate, and there are my drill holes. So I'll go ahead and preview that, and there they are. Very simple, very easy. Now let's get a little bit more complex. Okay. Eric says, does a smaller upcut bit not affect tear out on the material? I can handle a little tear out. I can't handle burning my shop down or starting a fire on my spoil board. It can tear out. But in this case, I'm probably going to come back with a countersink bit and countersink this when I mount it to the wall. So I'm not really concerned about tear out. It is possible though. It could lead to a little bit of tear out. But again, it's a trade-off. You know, I can handle a little bit of tear out. I can't handle replacing my CNC or my shop. Okay. And I know I sound a little bit preachy, but believe me, I mean, it scared the bejeebers out of me. And I was new. I had no idea what I was doing. So don't make my mistake. All right. So the next thing I want to do is I want to create a pocket. Now, just asking why not use a drill bit? I don't have any drill bits that are rated for the RPMs of my spindle. So, you know, I could get some probably, but I don't know. The minimum RPM on my spindle, it's air cooled. The minimum RPM is 6,000, and that's still a bit much for a high-speed steel bit. I don't have any drill bits that are rated for CNC for that kind of RPM. So that's why I use an end mill. But I've also had a lot of tear out with twist drill bits too. So I don't see any real benefit. Now, maybe that's just been my experience. But if I were doing metal, yeah, that would be a big difference. So, okay, I've mentioned channel membership a couple of times, and my channel members know all about this technique. So now I'm going to share it with the rest of the public channel members. I'm going to leave these numbers standing proud, and I'm going to leave this border out here standing proud. So I want to pocket all of this out down here. Well, if you've ever done a pocket and left letters, numbers, whatever, standing proud of that pocket, you want to make a raised letter sign, you know that odds are you're going to end up with a lot of machining marks where maybe bits don't, one bit will cut a little bit deeper than another, or maybe there's a pattern where it's swirled and what have you. I'm going to show you a texture that was shared with me by a gentleman by the name of Roger McMunn. He did not invent this texture, but he's been a sign carver forever, and this is one of his favorite textures to use. You're going to be blown away by this, and there is no 3D work involved at all, just two pocket cuts. So we'll go over here, and I'm going to go into a pocket toolpath. Now I'm going to go ahead and just cut to, let's cut, I don't know. I'm torn between 1/8 and 1/4. I'll try 1/4 of an inch, and we'll see what that looks like. 1/4 of an inch, about 6 millimeters. So we'll change that to 0.25. That's how deep I want this to cut. And I'm not going to use an end mill, so I'll select it, remove it. I'm going to select a 1/4 inch ball nose, just a standard ball nose, not a tapered ball nose, just a standard ball nose. And I'm going to select that. Now here is where we get into the tricky bits. Okay. I'm going to leave that at 2 passes. We're going to cut raster. All right. All right. Now I've already messed up. Let me go back here to this ball nose bit. I'm going to edit, and I'm going to change my step over to 91%. Right now you're going, what the what? Yes, 91%. We'll click OK. Now, I want to set it for a raster. For a raster angle, I'm going to use 38 degrees. And I'm going to set for no profile pass on this tool path. I'm going to come down here to vector selection. I'm going to click selector. Again, all closed vectors on the selected layers only. I want to select text. I don't want drill holes. And I'm going to select inner border. So I've got these two layers. It's going to use those vectors to calculate this toolpath. Again, I'm going to associate with the toolpath and close. This is pocket 1. I'm just going to leave that name there. And I'll calculate. Now you're looking at it going, what the heck? I'm going to change that toolpath color to white because that's what color background it's going to be. And I'm going to preview it. What a mess. But wait, there's more. I'm going to come right back and I'm going to do another pocket. Same depth, same bit. Let's go into edit and make sure we have the same step over. Okay. Raster. This time, I'm going to set my raster angle at negative 38 degrees. And I'm going to do a profile pass last. Okay. Again, come down to my vector selector. All closed vectors, selected layers only, those same two layers. Associate with toolpath. Close. This is pocket 2. We'll calculate it. I used a 38-degree angle on that first toolpath. I'm using a negative 38-degree angle on this toolpath. Preview selected toolpath. I forgot to change the color. Undo last. Let's change that to white. Now let's preview that toolpath. And there we have a diamond-shaped texture out in the middle of our field. And it came back and did a profile pass around the inside perimeter and around each of the digits. Okay. Very clean, very easy texture that looks very high end. And it's got a great effect. 2 pocket tool paths. That's all it takes. So now I'm going to close. I'll come back over to my 2D view. I'm going to do a profile cutout because that's all we have left. I'm going to cut it out. I'll go Z equals to get my material thickness. I'm going to select my bit and I'll use a 1/4 inch end mill. Select. Gonna carve to the outside. Normally I would do a separate last pass, but for this demonstration, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to add tabs. There's not enough material here to need tabs or to be able to take advantage of tabs, but I would on an actual project. Okay, now I'm going to come down for my, I do want to make sure I'm getting sharp external corners. Okay. I'm going to come down here to my vector selector, all closed vectors, selected layers only. I want to do cutout and turn off the others. Associate with toolpath, close. Okay. And we'll call this one, it's the only one I'm going to change, cutout. All right. And we'll calculate that. There is my toolpath. I'll preview, get rid of the waste, and there we go. So there is an address sign. So in theory, you could use angles besides 38 and negative 38, right? Whatever you wanted. Experiment. You can have 40 and 40 or 50 and 50, whatever, but experiment and see what looks best to you. Just know the higher the number on the step over, the bigger these diamonds are going to be, but there is also the possibility you'll get flat spots out here. Okay. The tool used for this AL was a standard 1/4 inch end mill, 6.35 millimeter, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. T.R. McMunn is a great designer and wood carver. He is a wizard. He showed me this texture and it was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? It's that simple. He says it's real easy on a CNC router. He's used to doing it by hand. It's like, oh no. But yeah, he is an absolute wizard. Okay, so that's just the beginning of this whole thing. But again, the important part of this is vector selection. You've got to make sure you choose the correct layers and associate with the tool path. All right. That's crucial. Okay, so there is my finished project. This is great. Now we'll get into the actual topic. Um, yes, that's what I thought I said. Maybe I mistook. 1/4 inch ball nose. Did I say end mill? I didn't mean end mill. I meant ball nose. I apologize for that. Please remember, saying the wrong word is my thing. I know I meant ball nose. That may not have been what I said. I'm going to get a T-shirt printed up that says, I know you think you understood what I said, but what you heard was not what I meant. So, okay. Yes. Standard 1/4 inch ball nose, not a tapered ball nose. Not saying you can't use a tapered ball nose, just that it's not required. Now, Dwayne says, might be a good place to drill 2 of the holes deeper into the spoil board and push in dowels before the profile cutout. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Personally, I use my old standby tape and CA glue. It's never failed me, not once. But we all get off the elevator on our own floor. So if you want to do that, you could actually even screw it down to the spoil board after those are drilled. So, yeah. Okay. So there's our design. We've come back in here. We've saved a preview image for our client, our customer, what have you. Everything is great. They've approved it. We've saved G code and we've gone out. We're going to go out and we're going to cut this. But now it occurs to us when this is done, probably a lot more people are going to want one of these. Now is when we'd want to save a template file. Once we have all of our tool paths done, we've checked out the design, we like it. We don't even have to do that today. We could come back to this pattern. Oh, speaking of which, I need to save it. So it is saved. You'll see here that it says address sign demo. That's the title of the file that I'm using. Okay. So let me come back over here and click off to deselect everything out here. Now I want to save this as a template file. So I'll come back over, File, Save as template. So I'll click on that, and I'm going to go down here, navigate to the proper folder. And if we look, we've got a different type of file name. Instead of being a CRV 3D file because it's for Aspire, it's a CRV T 3D, T standing for template. If you're using V-carve, it would be I can't use it as oops, that's the one. I could save it as a V-carve template file, which would be CRVT. Remember, the T stands for template. I'm going to save it as a normal Aspire file, and I'll keep the name. I have now saved a template. My file name up here did not change. I'm still working with this file. But now I want to work with the template. So close that file down. And here's my template right here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to open another session of Aspire. And let's go ahead and make this full screen. I will get to your question in just a minute there, Eric. I'm going to go ahead and make this full screen. Now what I want to do is I want to open a new file from the template. Okay. So I'll click on new file from template, and there is my template file. So select open, and it's going to open up all the geometry, all of the vectors, but you notice it says new up here, and it immediately put me into job setup. I cannot use the template file for anything other than it bringing in all the geometry here and the toolpaths. The template file cannot be edited. All you can do is delete it and create a new one. So if you discover a mistake down the road, maybe these should have been slightly larger drill holes, you can load up the file just like I'm doing right here, increase the size of those holes, then save that as a template. But once you've created a template, that template cannot be edited. That's why it's putting me into job setup. Because what it did was it imported the job as I set it up in that original file. The width, the height, the thickness, my XY datum position, my Z0 position, all of those settings, this is what it was in the previous file when I saved the template. So I'll click OK. That's correct. And it still says new. There is no file name yet. So let's go over here. There are my toolpaths. I can go into preview, preview all toolpaths, and there they are. The pattern is set. I'm going to reset the preview because I've got an order, and that's the whole reason I opened this. And they need to change. Obviously, I need to change the number. They don't live at that number. So we'll select that text. I'm going to go up here and make sure that I'm working in my text layer. This is something that bites everybody. Make sure you're in your text layer or whichever layer you're trying to change. So my text layer is active. I'll select the text, go back up here into my text window. It's going to load the font that I used. It's going to load all of that stuff. So let me change the number. And that number will be 13579 looks good to me. And close. Well, now that I've saved that, or that I've made that change, I need to recalculate the toolpath. This is another brilliant part about associating toolpaths with layers. All I got to do is come right over here, recalculate all toolpaths. All toolpaths successfully recalculated. Go into my preview, preview all toolpaths. Done. Finished. It took me longer. Whoops. Okay. Slide over here. There. Get rid of that. Sometimes you got to zoom in closer. It took me longer to tell you how to do that than it does to actually do it. So all you need to do, again, reset preview, close, come over here, 2D view, and I'll select my text, go into text, and we need new number, close, come over to the toolpath tab, recalculate all toolpaths, and hit OK. Because we associated the toolpath with anything that's on that layer, whatever change we make, the minute we recalculate that toolpath, it adjusts everything. This works very well with raised text files. Let's see, Wendell is asking, so should you name and date the G-code file with the date you know to have the latest revision? You're going to pretty much use the G-code you generate from this one time to make this particular file, because the next G-code is going to be more than likely a different number. So there's no reason to save that G-code. I don't save my G-code. There are two exceptions. I save my vertical and my horizontal keyhole G-code, and that's it. That's all. Okay. So I don't save G-code because I can't guarantee that the next piece of material I want to cut with that G-code is going to be the same size, the same thickness, the same material. So it only takes a second to come load the file, generate new G-code, and go out just to be on the safe side. I do not save G-code. Now, again, we all got off the elevator on our own floor. So yeah, Wendell, if you want to name and date the G-code file, then by all means, that's entirely up to you. So, Franklin, what was the default depth that you used for your crosshatch? I went with 1/4 of an inch. I could do 1/8 of an inch. I could do, if I decided 1/4 of an inch was too deep, anything. I mean, and for those of you in metric, 3, 4, 5, 6 millimeters, whichever you prefer. I kind of like the deeper recesses simply because natural shadows kind of add a little bit of funk, so adds a lot more contrast, and I really like that. Yeah, Brooks Martin says, or you could save the G-code into a dedicated client's name folder. Yeah, exactly. You could do that, especially if they're a return customer. So, okay, Wendell says, from my CAD days, I always date and save so I can follow design flow, but I understand what you say. Yeah, I do get that. But Generally speaking, I don't get into my G code once I've used it. The project's done and over with. And I just know my luck. If there is a way I can mess it up, Wendell, I will mess it up. So I try to make things as Murphy proof as possible. So now, because we loaded this file from a template, we have not saved it. And again, this doesn't change that template file at all. So if I just close this, I'm going to lose the entire let's see, Michael Hall says you could add a name above or below the number, correct? The text would just be smaller. Yeah, you could do that. And like I said, this was just one simple basic design. This gets used for, this is especially great if you do the stacked text signs. A lot of people do wedding signs where they'll have couples' first names on the top layer, then their last name on the bottom layer, and then down below that they V-carve in the date of the marriage. If you keep that top text on one layer, the bottom text on another layer, the V-carving on another layer, and save that as a template, the next time you need to cut one of those, you can go right back, open that template, change the names, change the dates, recalculate the tool path, save it, which is what I'm going to do right now because it still says new. We haven't saved the file. So now I'm going to come down and I'm going to save as. And this is, what is the house number? 4749. And that'll be 4749 address. And I'm going to put it in that folder. Save. And that saved it as a standard CRV file. Or CRV 3D file, excuse me, Aspire file. But now if I go down to that folder, I have the 4749. I have my original. But now I can open up a template. Always use Aspire to open that type of file. And there we go. It brought back that original template I made. Then I do my job setup. Okay. Come over here. Yep, all my tool paths are there. Everything's great. I just select my text. I'm in the cut. I'm in the wrong. There, now I'm in the right layer. Select my text, and there's my new text. Close. Recalculate all tool paths. Preview all tool paths. There we go. File, save as. I cheat. I click on that, but I change the number. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's that fast. It's that fast. You just saw me create a whole new project in real time. This is one of those cases where when you see it, you can't unsee it. It's also one of those cases where you slap your head and go, oh, you mean I've been doing all that work? Yeah, we have. We've been doing all that work. AJ Hockey says, how does this relate to toolpath templates? Different subject. I can get into toolpath templates next week. I briefly touched on them a couple of weeks back, but I can get into toolpath templates next week if you'd like. Okay. Now, Nova Maggart says, if the next sign is on a material of a different thickness, would you have to adjust the material setup before recalculating toolpaths? Yes. And okay, this one is done. It was saved. Close it. I'm going to go back into my template file. And boom, that's exactly why it puts you into the job setup first. Here, if I have, let's say, 1/2 inch thick material, I've made that change, and this piece of material is 7 inches tall. Let it catch up, and we'll click OK. It's going to recalculate all of the tool paths. Okay. And it'll come back over here. Now I may have to change a couple of these tool paths because my drilling tool path, for example, that's going to cut 1/4 inch into my spoil board, and I don't want that. So I'll back up, and now I've got 1/2 inch here. The automatic is still selected, and I'll calculate that tool path. Same with my cutout. I've got to adjust my thickness and calculate that tool path. Now I did this completely out of order, simply because I know my luck. Again, if I can mess it up, I will. I did this out of order because I needed to make those adjustments for material thickness now while I'm thinking about it. So now I can come over here. I can, whoops, I need to uncheck my tool path. Won't, because that's an annoyance to me. All right, so now I can go into my text layer. I can select my text, and I'm just picking numbers out of the hat and go close, come over here, calculate all tool paths, and preview all tool paths. And there we go. And get rid of that and get rid of that. Okay, Kurt says, if you're using varying thicknesses for these paths that need to be the thickness, can you use Z in the tool path thickness without the equals to make it truly variable? I believe you can, Kurt, but let's try it. Okay, let's try it. So I'm not going to close this. I'm not going to do a different template. I'll just reset this, and I'll close this. And let's go into these two tool paths, and we'll just go Z, calculate. Then we'll go into this one, and we'll type Z and calculate. Come on, calculate. All right, close. Let's uncheck these. Close. Now I want to go back and let's say change my job setup to where it's 1 inch, just because I've not used that number yet. And we'll click OK. Excuse me. Now we'll come back and we'll recalculate all tool paths. Now let's see, cutout. The max depth is 1 inch. Drill, max depth is 1 inch. So preview all tool paths. And yes, it cuts all the way through. Reset preview, close. Let's go back And let's make the, whoops, nope, that's wrong. I want to change my material thickness to 0.625. Click OK. OK. Now let's go over here and recalculate all toolpaths. And 0.625 max depth. So yes, Kurt, it works. Good idea. And Nova, there you go. I wish Vectric would use a Z parameter in the toolpath field. It does. So you no longer have to go through and do all that stuff. You can do it right there in your job setup, so long as you have Z as the variable up here and do not hit equals, just Z in that variable. So yeah, there we go. We kind of went over the template. The main reason, again, for using the template, okay, this is 5971. Let's go back out here, and I'm going to have a bunch of files to delete later on, but that's all right. Click, and this will be 5971. Save. Okay. But again, this template file cannot be modified. It can't be changed. If I discover a mistake in this template, like right now, what I've got is, let me load it up. Right now, what I have set up, let's go ahead and say that is 0.5 thick. Now, I don't have my Z variable there. It's set for a specific material thickness. I can't go in and edit the template. The only thing I can do is delete it and make a new one. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I've got this file. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to delete that template file. Gonzo. Now I'll come back into this toolpath and I'll use the Z variable, calculate. Come into the cutout toolpath and use the Z variable. Scroll on down, calculate. That's going to set me up for these two, but I have not recalculated these two. So let's go ahead, close this, recalculate all the toolpaths, and we'll check it just to make sure. Preview all toolpaths. Okay, looks good. Looks good. And my max depth is a 1/2 inch. My max depth is a 1/2 inch. Okay. We're looking good. Come back over here. I prefer to do all my saving from over here. I don't know why. I just do. And max all that up. Now we'll save a new template. And we'll call this address sign demo. Save. That is the only way you can make any corrections to a template, is delete the old one and save the new one. And there it is. I've got the new template file there. Okay, let's see here. Vortex 8 says, I'm going to have to watch this again. They're all available on the on right here on my YouTube channel. When you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see video, shorts than live. Number one, I don't post shorts. There's nothing I do in this software that could be less than 60 seconds. I mean, that's just all there is to it. Then you'll see live. Click on live, and there's a list of all my live streams. Okay. So, AJ says you should save the template with a Z depth instead of Z equals. I just did that. Yes, you're 100% right. Just wondering about the can't edit the template. If instead of double clicking the template, you go to file open, does the file selection box does not have the file type of the template? No, it does not. No, it does not. It does not. The only, just to finish answering Ayal here, let's close this. Yeah, I'll save that change. What the, yeah, there it is right there. Save. Yes, replace it. Okay. If you go into open an existing file and I go to that, you'll notice the template file is not listed. It's not listed at all. The only way you can open that file is from create file from a template. And there it is. Okay. Okay. So, right. So there are two ways of opening a template file. One is to go into that folder, double click that file, or let's cancel that. Come up here, new file from template. That's the only way to do that. But the file extension is there. No, it is not. Open an existing file. Oh, there it is. You're absolutely right. Open. And again, takes you right into job setup. So yes, I was mistaken. The file extension is there. And I was in the right folder. You're absolutely right. The file extension is there, but you're not editing the template. Again, it brings you into job setup and the title of the file is new. So you can't modify the template. All you can do is start a new file from that template. So no, the template file, and they did that on purpose. The template file is not editable. So you basically have to do any modifications and save a new template file. Let's see here. Wendell says, I have not never, lots of negatives, ain't it? Yeah, not learned something from these programs. From Z equals will automatically enter your material thickness to the prism function, which I just overlooked. Yeah, always learning something. Same here. I learned today that Z is a variable. I did not realize that. So Eric says, so until you make an actual template file, there's no way to lock a vector in position. I hadn't gotten to that question yet. Let's get to it now. That is there a way to stop from moving selected vectors by accident? I have fat fingers and sometimes I have moved them. That's multifold, okay? When you say fat fingers and sometimes have moved them, you have to try to my first question, AL, is why? Why? I hate being told there's something I can't do. Well, you can't be the mother of a large family. there are some things we can't do, you know? So go ahead. And AL, just download the free trial of the software. You can do it. You can do it, man. Download the free trial. But no, you cannot edit and if you go in and change the going in and changing the toolpath, the name, the file extension, just going in and changing the toolpath file extension name is the same thing as opening the template, making the change, and saving the template. It's the same thing. No, you can't do it. I feel like somebody's mother or father. Oh, well. Okay, so back to the question. Is there a way to stop from moving selected vectors by accident? Yes. This is another place where layers come in handy, Eric, and why I'm a major fan of using layers. Let's say I want to work on that text layer only. I'll come over here to layers, make text layer the active layer, and using this little light bulb, turn off all the other layers. Now I can't change the position of any of those other vectors because they're not available to me to edit. Now I can come back here to the drawing tab, and to answer somebody else's question from here, yes, I can change the number here, 6790, why not? And I can change the font. Let's go with, let's not do that. Let's do something weird. Yeah, let's use air brake. What the heck? We're going retro 80s digital look. Why not? And so that's all done. Now I can go back into layers and I can turn all those other layers back on. And I've not affected anything. Okay. Now you can also, as Michael is saying right here, you can also lock the layers so you don't move the vectors. Okay. And whoops, what am I doing? Let's see, I want to lock the drill holes. This layer here. Come right over here and we've got that little, looks like a notepad right there. Lock. Now, if I go into my layers tab, you see there's a little padlock right next to the light bulb. Okay, I can still turn it off and then turn it back on, but I can't edit that layer. I can't change it until I go back and unlock it. So you can lock layers, but as far as locking individual vectors so you can't move them, about the only real way that I can think of, and Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, about the only real way I can think of to do it is to just turn off all the other layers and work within that layer only. You might be able to. Could you not make changes and then save as a template and overwrite the original template? You might be able to. You might be able to. In fact, let's see. All right, I've changed this, changed a couple of things. Let's all my other layers turn back on. Let's go back to the drawing tab. File, save as template. Is it going to let me overwrite that template? Yeah, it'll let me overwrite the template. There you go, AL. You can overwrite the template. So I guess in a way, you can edit the template. Now let's open up another. I've got so many windows open. Yeah, okay. All right. Have it your way, AL. You can edit by overwriting it, which is the same as deleting it and starting over, but whatever. Okay. Now, there is one other thing that needs to be brought up about templates and about certain files. Question was asked to me earlier, I can close that, about what if you have something that is distorted, okay? And you save a template. Let's go over here, and I've got a V-carve toolpath. I want to associate all closed vectors on the text layer and associate it with the toolpath. And again, that is crucial. This will not work without that, okay? And boink. A day without coffee is undrinkable. Well, I put unthinkable, but I'm with you. I like that. I do like that. And then, so I've got that all done. Boom, 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 boom. And we'll calculate that. And we're going to preview that. Let's go ahead and give that a color. I really got to jump on this quick. All right, there we go. And we'll close that. So that's our text. Well, now, because that's been distorted to match this shape here, I can't go back in here and to draw text because this is not text. It's no longer a text object. So the only thing I can do with this is remake the text. Now, what I have here is I have this vector, which is the shape that I distorted this text to. So if I've got this text, I'm just gonna have to delete and enter new text. And I'm going to use AL's a day without, whoops, I've been doing wrong. There. Want to make that vertical. There. Day without coffee is undrinkable, but I'm not going to use that. Let's use no, I don't know. What am I going to use here? I'll just use something simple. Well, I got to scroll past all these vertical Adobe fonts. There we go. I'll just use Arial Rounded. Okay. Close that. And I'll center it. Well, right off the bat, it's way too big. Shift. Bring it down here. But I can make it taller. All right. Now, this is the form I want to distort it to. Okay. But this is also my cutout. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to offset that vector inwards by however big I want my margin to be. So I'm going to offset it inwards, let's say 1/8 of an inch. No, let's say 1/4 of an inch. So I'll make that 0.25, select new, there we go, close. Now I need to distort this text to match this shape. I'll go back into my distort tool using a bounding box and apply. My bounding box, I need to put the corners up here in these corners. Then come down here and put this bounding box corner there. That one there. Now, come on. You can do it. Snap it to that corner. There we go. Now I'm going to cheat. Right click to Bezier. Right click to Bezier. Now I have just changed these two vectors to Bezier curves because now I need to distort my text to match this wavy. So I'll select both of these nodes. And let's see, I'll wiggle them over here to where they kind of match that inner vector. Then, whoops. Well, that was a mistake. I wanted these nodes. There we go. Select those two nodes, and I'm just using my cursor left keys to kind of nudge these over until, I don't know if you can see my bounding box. The shape is kind of following that vector we offset. It's not 100% perfect. So, no, not that. I want to select the bounding box. No. There. Come on. There we go. I'm just going to take that one and bring it in. And you can do this all day long, just whatever you do. Don't click off of anything. All right, there we go. Now I've got my text, close. Now I've got my text moved and distorted to match the shape, my outside shape. Now I no longer need that guide vector. Then I can come over and recalculate the toolpath. But because it's on boink. Is it on the, well, that's why I didn't associate it. Okay, text, close, calculate. What are you doing? Select, select, associate with toolpath, calculate. Here's why. Here's a great lesson. This is what happens when you don't do this on the proper layer. Select it, move to layer, text. That's what happens when you don't select the proper layer. All the work I did was done on the cutout layer. So let's try this again. I should have seen that. Calculator and reset and preview. And there you go. So Kurt, in answer to that question, you don't have to delete the vector. You will have to go in and redistort the new text, because when you distort text, it converts it to curves, and you can no longer use that any of the text tools. So you'll have to go in and redistort them. But other than that, everything else can stay the same. So now let me make sure that I did get all of the question. Yeah, there was somebody had a question further up, but I think I covered that. Um, um, okay, Vortex 8, that was the one. And Bill Coleman, that was the other one. Yes, you can change text height, style, type, add lines. You can do all of that. Because again, so long as you have it associated with that layer, whatever's in the layer doesn't matter. But that's also why it's important that you keep everything on the number one, on the proper layer, and number two, that you're working in that proper layer when you make those changes. Because all of this that I did on the cutout layer, which is why it was giving me trouble when I tried to calculate the tool paths. So, so there is that. Vortex 8. Let me just say I am not sure which level you signed up for. I will double check that. But check the community tab. Some members will come on camera with me, some will not. Check the community tab, and you will see links there. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Cool. We might be able to extend these Q&As to 2 hours. No, the only reason I went this long was because I had a specific question from a channel member. So yes, the association is not with the template. The association is between the layer here and the toolpath here. That was just a little side thing, the association, but that will speed up the process. So layer select is probably where I went wrong when I used a template. It gets all of us. It gets all of us. I mean, you know, I've only been using the software for 8 years, but you just saw it. It got me today. Would you ever see my wife in video? Not on my channel, but you will on her channel. Yeah. She's not interested in anything I'm doing out here unless it's something I'm doing for her. She just doesn't care. So, all right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I hope that answered your question, Kurt. And I hope that got everybody's question. This is one of those subjects where we can go on and on and on and on and on. And as you can see, at an hour and 23 minutes in, we kind of already have. So I can do some more follow-up next week, but I don't want to burst your bubble, Eyal, but if you stop and think about it, overwriting a template is still not editing a template. Not in the grand scheme of things. Yes, you can overwrite a template. Yes, you can delete it and start again. Yes, you can create more templates and have template 1, template 2, template 3, template 4. And in fact, that's probably a good idea, especially if you're using different, slightly different vectors. So, but yeah, but you're still not editing that template, you're overwriting. I know, semantics, it's splitting hairs, but no, you can't. See, now we've got it. I've got the whole skin a cat thing, and now I've got you can't. So I was watching. I got it. Okay. That's it. Remember, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, put them down in the comment section. I read every comment. I may not be able to answer every comment, but I read every comment. So just ask away and I will circle back and get to it as unfinished business. Channel members, remember, check the community tab here on my YouTube channel for the link to tomorrow's members only live Q&A. We are going to be, see, did I bring in a photo of it? I don't remember if I did. I don't think I did. No, I didn't bring in a photo of it. Oh, well, we're going to be working on a pretty cool project for Valentine's Day. And I hope you'll enjoy it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you'd like information on becoming a channel member, click that little join button next to the subscribe button. And a little panel will pop up and a video will play, tell you all about channel membership. We do members only live streams on Monday evenings. We have a great time. We have a great crowd that shows up. Next week, what did I say we were going to talk about next week? I don't remember what it was, but I will go back and look to see what it was, and we'll get on to it. Ayal says, I'm happy to say that I managed to do the diamonds texture infusion too. Good deal. Good deal. So, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for becoming channel members. Thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me. And thank you for sharing, watching my videos, comments. I love you guys and ladies. Until then, this is called banter while I'm trying to think that I cover everything. I think I covered everything. Okay, so I'll see you next week. Members, I'll see you all tomorrow. Until then, go have a great day. And y'all take care.